Hi everybody, and welcome back to Every Stitch Counts. My name is Charlotte. I'm a knitter and a maker that lives in the greater Seattle area of Washington State. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about my knitting, things I'm working on, things I'd like to be working on, things I've finished, and just my experience with making whatever it is I've been making in my life. Mostly that is knitting and, enjoying the moments of this life. I think that this channel has really become a very special place for me. I feel like I can be myself here, and I feel like I can just express creatively the things that I really enjoy and find really beautiful in this world. So if you are interested in any of those things, welcome. Thank you for being here. Like the video and subscribe if you want to see more and if you want to be notified of more content that I come up with. What I'm wearing today is the only shawl that I own that I don't even wear as a shawl. I wear it as a scarf, and I don't remember the name of this shawl, but I'll put it down below because it was a gift from my mom, and she made it out of a Malabrego yarn, like a Malabrego worsted weight yarn. I don't remember the color, and Malabrego is one of those things that the colors are always slightly different, I feel, but it's all variegated. It has little eyelet details all over it, and I just really love it. Every time the weather starts to cool down, I feel like I always put this on. I wear it so much. The colors are so me. I just love it so much. And I love that my mom made it for me. So thanks, Mom. For this episode, I think what I wanted to do was just give a shorter update. These kind of like knitting recap videos I like to do more podcast style, and so they're much more casual. I like to keep it pretty straight and to point. So if you like that, if you like to see some of the modifications or just how things are going with the things that I'm actually working on right now, these videos are for you. I have 4 things I wanted to touch on in this episode. The first one, which you'll see if you've clicked on this video and looked at the thumbnail, this is the GoldenFallSweater by Spoonful of Talent. It is something I talked about in my last podcast episode. I got accepted for a test knit, my first test knit ever. It's with Lucy from Spoonful of Talent, and it's a test for her GoldenFallSweater, which, as you can see, is just gorgeous. I haven't made a whole lot of progress on anything else, mostly because this test has been taking up all of my time. I've done a lot, as you can see. I have the collar completely finished, and I have split for sleeves, and I'm delightfully just working on the body. And so I consider like this part of any sweater to be the smooth sailing part. It doesn't take a lot of brain power. At this point, hopefully, you've memorized the pattern and you can just kind of knit and go, and it's really enjoyable. And that's definitely what this is. The test itself, I think, has kind of taken me by surprise. It's really fast. Like, there's not a lot of time to get the test actually done. I don't have really any experience testing, and so I don't know what the general range is, although I feel like from people I've listened to, they have anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks sometimes. I was so frantically excited to even get accepted for the test knit that I didn't really read like what the timeline was. I just was like, yep, I'm gonna do it. And I just really want to do it. And so I had 4 weeks when I first started this project to finish it, which even a normal, easier sweater that I don't think I've ever made a sweater in less than 4 weeks. So this is definitely pushing me to really see how fast I can really do something. I definitely am on track to finish, and I definitely am not worried about not finishing in time. The yarn for this that I'm using is Rowan Felted Tweed. I'll put the colors of what they are down below because I don't recall at the moment what the colors are. And then I'm holding it double with this Sandnesgarn tin silk mohair. And together they just make this really beautiful camel color. The tweed has flecks of black and blue and even a little bit of white and like a lighter caramel color in it. It's got a lot of nuance to it, which I really like. It's not just a flat camel color. And so far, my experience with the yarn has been amazing. The combination of it has just been really lovely. Mohairs, I don't find a whole lot of difference between them personally. I'm sure some people who are even more sensitive to the skin than I am would have more of an opinion on the mohairs that they use. I find this mohair to perform just as well as any other mohair I've ever used. I've never really had a mohair that I really disliked. But the Rowan felted tweed yarn is just the star of the show here. You know, I don't know how to describe it. I think what I'm loving about the sweater is I think the tweediness makes the lace motif in the front a bit more subtle in a way, but it still lets it stand out enough to where the lace is definitely the star of the show. Even pre-blocked, I think the fabric looks so nice and so even. And you can really tell in the back where it's just stockinette stitch. It's gonna just have such a beautiful drape to it. I think it must just be the yarn combination of the Rowan felted tweed with that mohair, the silkiness and the slipperiness of the mohair. It's just lovely. And really something that's going to block out nicely. I think it's going to have a really nice drape to it. All in all, I'm just really, really liking it. I also, just as my kind of midway recap of my experience with the test knit itself, I've been having a great time. I love chatting with the ladies. I love hearing what everyone else is doing. I love all the progress pictures that everyone posts. And I also love how Lucy, the designer, is just so open and eager to hear feedback and hear suggestions, but also knows the things that she's not willing to do. A little bit about the sweater and the pattern, and hopefully what you all can look forward to when it's finally released. This is a top-down raglan sweater. You start with knitting in the flat and doing, back and forth, and then shaping your increases. And then you join in the front when the next shaping is done. And then it's a very normal, traditional raglan. You join in the round and you establish your lace charts for the lace work. And then you knit your raglan increases until the yoke is done and you have the desired yoke depth. And then you split for sleeves and you're home free. It's very, very easy, and it's also very, very enjoyable to knit. I was a little bit nervous with the lace because I've never really done lace before. It's so simple. The only technique you're really doing with the lace is yarn overs and then knitting 2 or 3 together in a couple different ways to get the slant proper. And I guess you could say, yeah, you're not even really doing cables. You're literally just doing yarn overs. And then the bobbles, which are a little bit harder to see on mine. You can see them better when they're far away, ironically. The bobbles she does with a crochet hook, which I had never done before. And I have to say, I think it's my preferred method of doing bobbles now. It just makes them so even. It makes everyone the same size. It just makes it sit nicer. Like, I don't have to worry about it buckling in any weird way or anything like that. I just think that they lay super tight. They look very neat. I really like the way she did it. The collar, she gives you a couple options in terms of your preference. I chose to go with the original design, which was a turtleneck. Really, I keep saying it's so simple, but it really is. She's really done a good job at making the pattern pretty easy to understand. You knit the collar last, or really at any point in the sweater you want. I like to knit it before I'm going to split for sleeves because I like to add the collar and then I like to do a quick steam block and then I like to try it on before I split and join in the round for the sleeves. And I do that because a lot of people, this is exactly why I do this. In the test knit, a lot of people were making comments about how the neck, seemed huge when they were knitting before they had added the collar, and they were kind of like, are you sure that that's gonna be like fitting okay? Are you sure that that's gonna be the right number of stitches? And Lucy was just like, yes, like unless there's something major that I've missed, you know, just trust the pattern and cast on for the collar, and you'll see how much it cinches up. And it did cinch up the neck really well. And then now it fits, you know, I would say pretty perfectly. It's not too tight around my neck, which I really like. The way she's done the actual collar is you pick up with, I think, a US6, like a 4mm needle, and then for the middle portion, cinch into a really small needle. I think she goes all the way down to like a US2, 2.5, I can't remember exactly. And then as it comes up to the top, you'll see it, you know, has this, it gets wider. And that's because she increases her needle size to a US7, and then all the way at the top, it's a US8. And that's really just what gives it that nice kind of flounciness that you see. It's not, it doesn't cinch in super tight. It's gonna block out and have a really nice drape without like cinching up all over your neck. I'm so excited. I can't wait to wear it and show it off, because I think that lace, if it hasn't come back already, it should come back. I love lace. I think it's so pretty. It definitely might be a new obsession of mine. It was cables for a while, and I think now it might be lace, because it's just so feminine and so pretty. And it's funny, the more I knit and make things and want to make my own clothes, I find myself wanting to make more feminine things, more elegant things. I don't know if there's any correlation there, but I find that that's just what I'm drawn to more and more as I'm making more things. So that's my Golden Fall sweater. I've just been loving it so much. So hopefully the next time we see each other, this will be done and I'll be wearing it and you'll be able to see how it fits. Next, I just have 2 really quick updates for some of the other sweaters that I'm working on. I haven't made any progress on my Fiel Tour Light sweater, so I'm not going to talk about that one. But what I have made a little bit of progress on is my Talvinen sweater, and I'm knitting it. My gauge and my stitch count for this was a tiny bit off, so I'm somewhere between the 3rd and 4th size, which is definitely bigger than what I would typically need. But my intention for this is for it to be like an oversized walk the dog, hike out type of sweater. It's knit with a pretty rustic yarn with the brown of phenol, and so it'll soften up the more I wear it, but it definitely has that toothy, almost dry, woolen spun quality to it that will wear like iron. Maybe isn't your like Surrey alpaca level of softness. It looks pretty much the same, but there is more work done on the body. And I do think that I've decided what I want to do with this one is I do think I am going to leave the bottom of this sweater on both the sleeves and the body itself just no color work. I suppose that could change when I get down there and think about it, but I just love the brown so much. I think the eagles will really pop and stand out if I don't add anything else, and I really am finding myself to be more drawn to that less is more aspect of my sweaters. And so I think I just want to enjoy the yoke for what it is, and as beautiful and stunning as it is, and leave the rest plain. But this is going really well. I've been really loving just having easy stockinette to do when I don't want to think about anything else in terms of my knitting, like how I'm going to do the next step or anything overly technical. I can just do this in my sleep. And it's really been nice. So that's my Talvinen sweater. The next thing I want to talk about is actually my Tessellated vest. And it's not because I've necessarily made any progress on it. In fact, I don't think I'm any further along than I was the last time I talked, but I did need the needles that I was using for this, and so I was able to take it off the needles though and put it on waste yarn and then try it on. I haven't blocked it or anything, and I am technically ready to split for sleeves, but because I'm so tall, I think I am gonna go back when I'm done using the needles on the other project and do a couple more of the repeats, maybe just like 2 of each, because I really don't want a crop top. I really want something that's an actual vest that I would be able to wear as a top. And I do think that I am going to take someone's suggestion from the video where I talked about this last, and I do think I am going to switch from the metal needles that I was using for this back to wooden needles. The Surrey, the Spin Cycle, and the Farmer's Daughter fiber that I'm using for this is just so slippery to me. I'm really not used to it, and I'm finding that the combination of the slippery yarn with the metal needles is just making this really not enjoyable. And it shouldn't be that way. Like, this should be like an easy, pretty mindless, engaging fabric to make, but it's just not really vibing with me these past few weeks. I think switching up the tools will help with that and make it go by a bit faster. My mom also had the same sentiment. I think we both knit continental the majority of the time, and so slippy needles and slippy yarn should be a match made in heaven, but there's something about this yarn, it's just too much, I think. It's making it difficult to work with, and so I think a simple change in tools will make this project come back to life a little bit for me, and hopefully I'll enjoy it a bit more. I like the idea of what the finished project is going to be, so I just have to do that and then finish it. But I have this test knits now that I have to get finished, so as you can see, this is how things happen in the minds of knitters. That's it for the works in progress items that I have for this episode. I did make a little trip to Bainbridge Island yesterday with my mom. I'm heading out of town this coming week, and we really wanted to see each other and do something before I left, and so we met in Bainbridge Island and got lunch, and of course we stopped and went to the two yarn shops that are there. We went to Les Merciers, and then we went to the Lamb and Kid, both of which I love and are amazing shops. Very different, which is kind of nice. The Lamb and Kid does all of this really bright. They do their own dyeing. Their big thing is Surrey alpaca yarns, and it's just everywhere. They love Surrey over there. And they're really well known for their birdie and big birdie yarns. Les Merciers is very different. It's much more neutral in the color palette. It has a lot more woolly yarns, I would say. They carry a lot of biche-bouche and just things like Knitting for Olive and things that are just more neutral and not really rustic. I wouldn't consider any of it particularly rustic, except for the like Les Petites Lambs wool line that they carry there, but you get my feel. We were obviously in the mood to purchase something, and I had it on my mind that I really wanted to make a shawl. I've never made a shawl. My mom has obviously made me a shawl. I've not made one. And I think with the fall atmosphere, I was just really wanting to make one. And so we actually both decided that we were going to make the Cozy Shawl by Jennifer Evans, and it's a free pattern that the Lamb and Kid does, and it's part of their kind of free pattern collection. And we just saw it in the shop, and we thought, oh, that's a really simple, like, classic shawl, and it looks really nice on anyone I've seen wear it. And so we got some of their birdie, which is their Surrey alpaca, and then we went down to Les Merciers, and we both got the Les Petites Lambs wool by biche-bouche, and I'm so excited. These are the colors. Need I say more? The Les Petites Lambs wool is the yellow mustard color, and I mean, it's just like the perfect turmeric golden yellow. And then the birdie yarn that we got, which is their Surrey, is also pretty fun because I think it has this very similar tones in it. The ones that we got were actually mist dyes. So if you're ever in the area and you go visit, they always have mist dyes there sitting out. And the mist dyes are maybe 30% cheaper than their regular birdie yarns. So these were $23 for 328 yards compared to the $33 that they normally are. So all in all, I was surprised at what a good deal these were. I didn't realize the Le Petit lamb's wool was only $14 a skein for 50 grams, which I consider a pretty good deal. It's not as cheap, obviously, as some other places, but there's quite a bit of yardage. There's almost 300 yards in a skein, and I think that for the quality that this is, the fact that it's lamb's wool, I thought that was pretty decent. And then obviously we got a steal on the big birdie, or not the big birdie, just the birdie. But I'm so excited. I think these colors together are just gonna be totally my vibe. I think that's it for this video. Just a shorter update. Wanted to talk about some of the things I've been working on. Say hello to everybody. If you're new here, thank you for joining me and watching. Stay tuned and subscribe and like the video if you're so inclined to see more of what I get myself up to. I've just really been enjoying learning and experimenting and getting to express this part of myself on this channel and with this community of people that are now here. So I hope you're all well. I hope you're all finding joy and getting to find some time to make the things that you really want to make and do the things that you really want to do. Until next time.